Hi everyone, today we're going to read an article called If You're Open to Growth, You Tend to Grow. Remember, the goal is to not simply just watch the video, but instead work alongside me as I share my thinking. I will prompt you when it is necessary to pause the video in order to give you time to read or record your answers on your own document. Soon you'll be asked to complete a similar task independently, so it is important that you practice with me today. I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. So you should have open your growth mindset student answer document. So let's start by looking at our learning targets. We actually have two today, and we are going to look at how we can analyze the meaning of words and phrases and how they are used in a text. So the word analyze means we're going to look closely and we're going to really think about the word choice and how it can relate to the text as a whole. We also are going to determine the central idea. So we're really going to figure out what the central idea is and how it is shown or conveyed through the details. So let's first start by opening our text. So we're going to click the link and it's going to open and prompt us to make our own copy. So we're going to hit the blue button and notice that it's between tabs. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to move tab to new window. And I'm just going to drag it to the other side of my screen. So if it doesn't bother you to flip back and forth, then you can stop here. But I'm going to adjust my windows just so I can see both at the same time. So notice when I'm adjusting that it's kind of zoomed in. So I'm going to fix that by going up here and zooming out just a bit. Okay, let's begin with our warm-up question. So I've given you two questions to choose from, and I would like to challenge you to use your summer reading book to answer this second question. Go ahead and pause the video and take about 30 seconds to a minute to answer the question here. Okay, after you answer the question, go ahead and compare your thinking to mine. I use an example from the summer reading book that my students read with The Unwanteds, and how Alex had a challenging time learning something new with creating a masterpiece. And the thing that got him through that challenging time was his purpose and determination. So I want you to come back to your warm-up at the end of this lesson to see, did you or did your character have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? And that leads us to our next activity. So what you are going to do is you are going to read the first three paragraphs of the text. And as you read, I want you to find characteristics of a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And when you find the characteristics, I want you to record on your table here. You can do that by writing incomplete sentences. You can use a dash, or you can do what I will be doing and adding in a bulleted list here. So go ahead and pause the video and find your characteristics. Okay, from these three paragraphs, you can see where I found my answers, and I simply highlighted the line, and then I went to this icon up here to highlight. It is not necessary for you to do that, but if you want to, you can follow along with me. So as we can see from these three paragraphs, we have two ways of thinking. We have a fixed mindset, and the fixed mindset believes that what you are born with, your intelligence and your talent, cannot be changed. You get what you get. A growth mindset is the opposite, where that mindset believes that talents can be developed and abilities can be expanded over time. So let's go to our next question. So I picked out this question and I want you to highlight the word innate. Take a second and pause the video, and I want you to answer, what do you think the word innate means from these three lines? So we can actually use our context clues to figure out the meaning of this word. So we know that the word innate means something similar to the word natural, or something you were born with, based on the surrounding words. So there will be times where you come across a word that you may not know or never heard of, but I encourage you to look around and see if you can figure out the meaning based on the words around it. Okay, let's move on to our question number 3. I want you to read the next couple paragraphs, the one that I have highlighted here. And as you're reading, I want you to fill in the chart based on the characteristics. So go ahead and pause the video and read the remaining paragraphs. All right, looking at paragraphs 4 through 8, I went ahead and added to my chart, and we see here that people with a fixed mindset, it can be hard to move forward because they're so focused on getting something wrong or focus on what they can produce. And we see those with a growth mindset tend to be more successful because they are persistent and they do not give up. So let's look back at this line. In this case, nurture wins out over nature just about every time. So we're going to look closely at this sentence, and I want you to answer the question. What can you conclude from this statement? What is the power of this statement in relationship to what we've read so far in this article? Go ahead and pause the video and answer the question in your document. I want you to compare your answer to mine, and don't feel the need to change it. This is simply just reflecting on our thinking. So I can see from this sentence that I need to kind of break down some of these words, nature and nurture. So if I look at the first word, nurture, I can refer or relate that to a growth mindset. Nature, I am relating that to a fixed mindset. And I can conclude that nurture refers to a growth mindset because it's something that you care and continue working on. So here I see that the author is saying that a growth mindset wins over a fixed mindset. And because nature refers to focusing on the fear of failure. So let's keep reading, and I'm going to let you read the rest of the article on your own. So let's pick up here and go ahead and read the remainder of the article, adding to your table. I want you to compare your thinking to mine. How is yours similar and how is yours different? One takeaway that I got from this article is the fact that people with a fixed mindset can still change and adapt a growth mindset, and it's possible to shift. And one thing I want to take away is that talent is still important, but we also must be willing to be challenged and change. What I want us to move towards now is the end task. And I want you to write about what the author argues is the biggest factor for success. So go ahead and use your notes from the table to answer the end task. Okay, now that you have the answer here, I'm going to quickly teach you a way to organize your writing. So what I'm about to show you in the table below is just a process. So I do not want you erasing what you have in this box here. I just want you to revise it and to organize it in a new way. So RACES is an acronym that we're going to be using, and the first sentence is to restate the question. So go ahead and type this with me. Notice how I added in a few words, and I also added in the author's name. So to restate a question, I'm looking for a question word or words, and I'm taking those out and I'm simply just restating what it is asking me here. The A refers to answering the question. So now I need to actually say what the biggest factor to success is. So go ahead and try to do that on your own. Okay, notice how I gave you a sentence frame. I want you using your answer here to plug into the blanks. Notice how I am answering and building off my first sentence. Okay, the next one is to cite evidence from the text. So I want you reflecting here on your end task response. Did you actually use information from the text to support your answer? So go ahead, and if you haven't, you can either copy and paste or add on evidence in this box below. Okay, let's look at mine. I went ahead and answered the question that a growth mindset is the biggest factor for success because it requires people to persevere to find ways to overcome obstacles. So notice that I answered the question with the growth growth mindset, but then I also said why. So I also added in evidence from the text. So notice that I used quotes, and I used ellipses here to show that it's not the complete sentence, but that was the only piece that I needed to support my thinking. So the next one is to elaborate your evidence. Why is this important? Go ahead and pause the video and answer this sentence frame for your thinking. So I said this was important because adapting a growth mindset, it requires people to not focus on themselves or simply just reaching the end, but to how to develop their own thinking in order to learn from their mistakes. So the last one is to summarize your thinking. Why does this matter? How can I relate it back to my initial question? So go ahead and give a one-sentence summary of how or why a growth mindset is important for success. Okay, once again, I just kind of restated the initial question and talked about why growth mindset as a whole is so important, because we all experience challenges and it really depends on how we want to approach it to how we will overcome it. So I'll encourage you to go back to your warm-up question to see, do you have a fixed mindset? Does your character have a fixed mindset, or maybe a growth mindset? Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful.